Hey guys, it's Rachel Feldman. I'm here with my good friend Robert Notter. I'm so excited because he was a teacher at the school that I attended, which was the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I heard him say, build your list so many times. And I asked Robert to come on and talk about his deep work, the kind of work that we all want, knowing how to grow our income with a new money mindset. And we're actually talking quantum energy today. So, Robert, can you introduce yourself, tell everyone a little about yourself?
Yes. Well, I'm Robert Notter and I live in New York City. Gosh, Rachel, this time 20 years ago, I was still sitting at a desk complaining, moaning, eating too much sugar, not being happy. And I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way to be happy. And so I ended up becoming a health coach. I left my corporate job, a very successful corporate job, when health coaching wasn't even really well known, to be a health coach. And I look back now 20 years later and think about what success has been and how many hundreds of thousands of people I have touched in terms of making a difference in the world with all of us being together. And, I'm so grateful that I can be a person who helps people to understand what joy means. And we're going to get into that today in terms of money and success. And, I did so well in health coaching. I was like, there's so many health and wellness coaches out there who are such good people who don't know how to get clients. They don't believe in themselves. They don't know the marketing. So I went on to found my business coaching practice. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of health and wellness, artistic fitness professionals. I also, as you know, led and created the entire marketing program for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I was the main marketing teacher for almost 10 years. So which is how I got to know you as one of my students.
Yeah.
So it's just when I look back now with such gratitude to be in awe of how when you really just want something to happen and you believe that it can, and
Mm.
you align with the quantum realm of the quantum universe to have what you want, infinite possibilities of success are possible if you are aligned with it vibrationally. And that's what I would like to really talk about today with you is that a lot of times people think, well, I want to be more successful, earn more money, have more clients, better body, better job, better whatever. And in order to do that, you can't just read a book, you can't just have affirmations or write a vision board. Those things are great, but you have to be aligned vibrationally through quantum physics, through the laws of attraction to get what you want. Because the universe, the entire universe, like this glass of water, all this is molecules that are vibrating at a certain frequency. Even a food that you might be allergic to, it's because your vibration doesn't align with that food. So what I've learned, and this is something that most marketing coaches, business coaches don't share, is that success is just a fraction of your marketing. Yes, you have to take action. But when you really want to be successful, all the things you want are just going to happen for you if you are in the flow through the frequencies of that which you want to attract.
Well,
It's mind blowing as I
let's
studied
just
this.
talk about because it is mind blowing. And it's like, as you're talking about this, I'm asking myself, am I vibrating at the energy that I need to vibrate? And I
Yeah.
hope so. But what takes us out of vibrating at that energy?
Well, what happens is we come into this world and we're a clean slate. So kids basically come in, they're when you're like in sort of like a meditative state where you're just in a different wave, when you're like you're conscious but you're not. Well,
Not good
kids
at
they're
meditation, though, I have to tell you, Rob.
well
I have
when you're kind of
that.
napping and you're kind of
Yeah.
like drifting a little bit. Well, kids actually are kind of in a brainwave state like that a lot when they're younger. So they just have this clean slate. It's kind of like the board behind you that you've drawn some things on. If you wipe that off, that's what a kid's brain is like. And then they come in and parents tell them this. Society says this, politics, religion, whatever, all these different things that we're taught to do and be. So what takes us out of being in alignment is the thoughts and programs that we are taught. Be a good girl, be a good boy, do this, don't do that. Oh, a client said no, that means I'm not going to get any clients, or I'm whatever. All these things that happen that shape us through experience, through modeling of others, that puts imprints of beliefs in our brain. And so when we go into those pre-programmed beliefs of doubt, worry, fear, and we're
Mhm.
not just purely aligned with the trust of what we know can happen, that's what takes us out. And then also poor eating, because food, think about it, I used to live on sugar, Rachel. I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say,
I
like
was
in
a
my
sugar
corporate job,
baby.
oh
Yeah.
my God, I eat a whole box of like Sour Patch Kids in one sitting and be like running around the house. And so poor foods, poor relationships, if you consistently have people in your life who say that you're not good enough or you're not going to succeed, their vibration actually pulls on your vibration. So poor food, poor lifestyle, poor thoughts, poor memories, poor belief systems, negative people, watching the news at night before bed to see, what's the latest bad thing we're going to have to worry about. That vibrationally, when you watch that on TV, that vibration from the news changes your internal energy. So I'm very, very conscious of what I allow. I live in New York City, and there are sometimes I'm on the subway and someone's having a fight or arguing. I actually have to get off at the next subway stop to get in a different car because we have, so basically the universe is bringing energy down through us into the ground, then back up through us through our chakras. Then we have these spins of energy that come out from us. And when there's misalignment in our body, our mindset, our health, those energies don't flow smoothly. And if we're around people, and it's curious, I'm sure you've noticed, Rachel, you've helped a lot of people in your work, which is so inspiring. Have you ever noticed that people who are negative and doubtful tend to attract people who are like that?
Oh, yeah. I actually just traveled to go and see my parents. They vacation for a little in Palm Springs, California.
Yes.
So I was on the plane, and this guy actually turned to me and said, there are a lot of nasty people in the world, but I never sit next to them. I always sit next to really positive, high energy people. And I
Yeah.
believe because that's what I put off into the world. And I
Hmm.
thought, isn't that really amazing? Because everyone I ever sit next to, you find something
Hmm.
worthwhile in that conversation as long as you're
Hmm.
vibing at a
Yep.
high
Yep.
energy.
And I love that you said that because that's really how life works, Rachel, is that when you are in a place of being in there's oftentimes words that it can't be described, but the energies of the universe are such that everything is happening in certain frequencies. And when you are in alignment within yourself with the connection you have to the universe, you can only attract things of like energy. You can't attract negative experiences. Those kinds of things just don't show up. So when I catch myself in a bad day or have a bad mood, I'm like, oh, I totally get it. I was thinking negative thoughts. As people think too, I just think happy thoughts and everything's fine. Like, health coaching, when I used to be a health coach, clients want to lose weight. No, just imagine yourself at your healthy weight. But if the back of their brain's like, not going to do it, tried before,
Right.
couldn't lose the weight, they're not aligned with it. So what I
What do you
find,
do
Mhm.
that actually, before we even jump into next,
Yeah,
what do you do when you're in a bad space? Because you are a really positive person.
yeah.
I know that from talking
Yeah.
to you. How do you catch yourself and
What I
reshape?
do, well, what I do is I just notice, like, our feelings are vibrations, and feelings are also biochemical. So when you feel worry, fear, doubt, not only is that an energy in your body, there's also a biochemical physiological process happening that triggers something about how you feel. So I always let my emotions be the indicator. So I always tell my clients too, same for them. Like, well, when you're sitting down to work on your newsletter, you want to click send, but you just can't because, oh, no one's gonna like it. I'm a bad writer.
Right.
Notice how you're feeling. And then what you do, and what I think is really powerful, something else that I study a lot of, and perhaps we'll do this another time together, is bioenergetics, how the
Mhm.
energies of the quantum world settle within your physiology in your body. It's transformed my life. And I'll touch a bit on that today. But I use quantum breath to realign myself. So what I do is I imagine the energy of the quantum universe coming through the top of my head, down through all of my chakras, rooting into the earth where it transmutes into an energy we can actually reabsorb into our bodies. And then I feel it coming back up through me. So I do something I call like a quantum channel breathing, where I go down from the chakras down to the ground, back up through the body, back down through the ground. I use my breath. And that's why, so to speak, meditation doesn't have to just be sitting in a chair. It can be you're washing the dishes and you're very mindful that you're doing it. But
Yeah.
bring present moment to your body and to your breath. And think about it, Rachel, like how many years ago were you a student of mine? I mean, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So do we know all those things really happened, or
2010.
are those memories in our brain? I mean, they happened, but did they? You know what I mean? It's pretty
Yeah.
mind-blowing when you think about it, because all we have is this very moment. And in this moment, when you can align your mindset and your physiology and your actions with the energy of that which you want to attract, you'll get it. Interesting thing to share. What kind of music do you really love the most?
I love Coldplay, Adele, Florence and the
Yeah.
Machine.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Florence. I was just
yeah.
listening to her just a little bit ago. So think about it. You got a radio dial. One dial is Florence, one is Coldplay, one is Adele. You just turn the knob just a little bit to 99.7, 99.8, and you get a whole different frequency. All of those frequencies are all around us right now, just like radio waves. And that's what it is. And this is what just blew my mind when I began to study the quantum realm and neuroplasticity and the
Yeah.
physiologies of how we hold energies in the body. I'm not saying, just overnight everything's going to shift, but I can tell you when I work with clients in my business coaching programs, 85, 90% of what we do is shifting their energies and their vibration. And then 10% is, hey, here's how to write a newsletter. Here's how to do a cleanse. Hey, here's Rachel's way to go do a group program. Here's what you can do. Here's how to do whatever. And it's just fascinating that oftentimes people who work with me, and I know you've experienced this as well, is that when you come into like doubting that you can do something, oh, but no one's going to come to the workshop. it's not only that your mind has the doubts, which then influence your actions, because if you think you can't, then what are you going to do? You can't. But you're actually shifting vibrationally within your cells. Your cells vibrate in a different way when you think a negative thought.
Mm,
It's fascinating because all we are inside, like even, this mouse, my little positive affirmation calendar, protons, neutrons, and electrons that are all spinning at different frequencies. And when you can know what you want to have, and the trick to it is to actually feel as if you're already there and already have it.
speak to
That's really
yourself.
the true key. Yeah. So let's say, for example, I have a health coaching client who wants to fill her group cleanse, she wants to get 20 clients in the cleanse. I, of course, help her with that. I direct her to other resources on cleansing, such as the kind of things you can help someone with. And I say, but the real key to it is to use those great tools, but as often as you can, to see nothing else except those 20 people in that cleanse, as if they are already there. So it's not just thinking about it, it's act, think, speak, feel, and vibrate as if you are already where you want to be as a successful entrepreneur. And when you do, my clients will say, Robert, I don't know how this happened, but I just happened to get a phone call. Rachel, remember I told you, I said, I was just thinking about her. Like I saw her post on Facebook, this really cool course she offered. I was like, I want to connect with her.
Yeah.
That very same day, I got a message from you when I just taught a class to 300 people on quantum physics.
I
That wasn't by
remember you telling me
coincidence.
that. And I
I
remember
know.
saying that there was like a 6 week period where I was like thinking about you. And it was a very similar period to what you were thinking about. But it was like
Yeah.
that day that you said, I really think Rachel and I should connect. There,
Yeah.
I popped right into your Facebook inbox.
I know. And that's the thing is that, it's imagine, you and I are in different states, but we're not really disconnected. Our energies, when you think about something or someone, oh, I was just thinking about you, and all of a sudden the phone rings and it's that person. Their time and space are illusions. They're not real. There is no, I mean, this is 4 feet difference, but in terms of the quantum universe, there is no separation. Everything is happening vibrationally, simultaneously at the exact same moment. And when you can align your energies and your mindset, and then, of course, a practical plan to be successful, you will accomplish what you want. And I've seen people who come to me in my programs who have hardly could pay their bills to then having a full practice a year later. And it's the marketing, of course, and I can teach them marketing. As you know, there's a formula. I mean, you learned a lot of my things in school. But what I've seen shift is when someone can really change how they are putting out their energy and what their energy they're allowing back in, then the right person just happens to call. That person you wanted to sit next to happened to sit next to you on the airplane. Those things happen not by magic. And Einstein even said, it's not magic or philosophy or woo-woo. It's just physics. It's just physics. Think about what you want and you'll get it. He said that. It's fascinating. And I'm
So
paraphrasing a bit, but
how would this coach bring this kind of vibrational energy into their marketing?
well, it's first you have to change how you show up and you have to change from within. It's like, so I have a positive affirmation calendar. Dave's calendar says, I look within to find, you have this calendar too. So I
Yeah.
look within to find my treasures. And that's the key is that, so often we live in a world where we're told men should act this way, women should be this, kids should do this, you can't do this, you should do that, believe in this God, believe in, it's like everything is just pure love, but it's
Right.
how we choose to see it. And so what I know is that if people continually look to the outside to get their fulfillment, they will not be happy. You can be a multimillionaire, but not like yourself, and you're still going to feel like crap. So you do have to start within to find your treasures. And when I take that a step further, go within to see what isn't feeling good and flowing for you, and then shift those things. And the real key is not just to think about happy thoughts or envision what you want to accomplish. It's to feel as if you're already in that situation, because your brain, think about, like last night I had guacamole and zucchini slices. I love both of those things. Listening to Coldplay. It's funny that we like to sing music, but not really, right? But if you think about it, you close your eyes and think about your favorite snack food, your mouth can water even if it's not in front of you.
Yeah.
And the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So, from a practical standpoint, when you're focused on what you want and you close your eyes and imagine it to be there, you're going to feel better about it because you're going to get the sense of how good it's going to feel once you have those 20 new clients. And what's happening in the quantum realm is that 99.7 frequency of 20 new clients, you were over here at 96.2, so you weren't quite there. But now that you're feeling that little bit of Adele coming through the 97.6, oh, wait a second, you're edging closer and closer and closer. Then you're tapped into its energy. And nothing can break that until you start, oh, it's too late for this. I'm too old to be a coach. Those thoughts then pull you out of the
Yeah.
energy, which then takes you disconnected from the quantum. It's
What
fascinating.
in your work for somebody that has that old stuff, those old stories,
Mhm,
what are some strategies that you work with a
mhm.
client to help them move past that?
Well,
Because
what
I
I
think
do
that's
first,
exactly what you're saying. It's like you can
yeah,
have everything in this quantum energy. You can have it all, but you can't have
yeah.
those memories constantly coming. And I love that you shared your technique, that quantum breathing, but I would love to hear some other things that you've done as
Yeah.
well.
So what has to happen first is that, people have this whole all these systems of belief. So someone sits down to work on creating their next workshop. They start to feel a little, oh, I don't know. And their brain goes, how do you feel about a workshop? Well, I'm not a good speaker. I tried before, nobody came. And then a feeling gets generated, then another thought gets generated, then another belief gets generated. So we first have to help the brain to stop being in flight or fight mode. Because see, what happens is oftentimes, like I live in New York City. If a cab comes speeding at me, I'm going to either get the hell out of the way or I'm going to or a bear, it's like people
Jump
think
back.
that, yeah, you run away or you like fight. If there's a bear coming, you either run or you fight, right? But many people, they think there's a bear coming constantly in their business. So I'm not going to do the newsletter because no one's going to like it. Or I don't know enough. I'm an imposter. So we first have to get the brain to stop being an automatic pilot. And all the brain wants to do is keep you with what it knows because that's safe. But unfortunately, people can be in what's not safe but it might not be good for them. Like, binging on sugar. I used to be a total sugar addict. Don't even touch sugar now. I don't need it. But it wasn't good for me, but I was so used to having it. And physiologically, my brain got a charge from it. So we have to help the brain first recognize the cost of what it's doing. So I sit with my clients, I help them become number one, aware. Here's what you're thinking consciously and unconsciously that's getting in the way, that's
Right.
not aligned with what you want to attract. And then I start to do some exercises with them. And I have a method called my neuro coaching method, which is something that I'm going to give a gift to all of you in a little bit with. And it's really just beginning to help the brain see the cost of what it's doing because of those negative, doubtful beliefs. So then the brain goes, oh, wait a second. I thought I was helping, but now I see there's a price tag. So the brain, when you think certain thoughts that are positive, it rewires your brain. When you think negative thoughts, it puts the energy from your food into your brain to keep those negative synaptic connections functioning. What you think about is what wires in your brain. So we get into the brain, look at the thoughts, become aware, look at the costs, rewrite those thoughts into something more positive, and kind of get their brain to tap into a new system of program beliefs where they're in charge of the driver's seat. Okay. Oh yeah. Wow. That I didn't realize that, they have these ahas like, oh, that person said that to me. I didn't realize that was unconsciously affecting this. So that's the first part, is recognizing the thoughts, seeing the cost, thinking something incrementally a little better. I could at least send my newsletter to one person. What's going to happen? And then we work on really getting clear on the goals they have for their practice and the marketing piece, of course. And then I teach them my sort of bioenergetic methods of how to use different breathing techniques and different energy frequencies within the body to remove the blocks of, oh, here's the heartache from the breakup. Here's those 4 clients that said I couldn't afford it. And that actually leaves an imprint in your body, believe it or not.
Right. I
So I
mean,
help them see what those things are, and I help them begin to then see the new things they want as we clear out the old, because you can't buy new clothes for your closet if you're jam packed with clothes you still have but you don't want. So you got to pull the weeds out of the garden, and then we put in new thoughts, and then we change the quantum vibration alignment.
oh, I love that. I mean, I think the thing that I hear from coaches so often are those negative things. And I think
Mhm.
when a coach comes to the table with positive thinking and that I can accomplish this no matter what's
Yeah,
going to get in my
yeah,
way, you
right.
have a successful coach. What do you think are the aspects of a successful coach?
Well, someone who really loves what they do. If you don't like what you do, there's no reason to do it. You can be successful pushing. I was a computer programmer. I pushed through it. I have a thing for numbers, but I was like, ugh. I would literally, Rachel, have my clothes laid out in the order I was going to put them on the next morning to go to work, because I was like, oh my God, I got to get up again and go to the subway. So you have to love what you do. You have to be surrounded by people who either are at your level or above, who can pull you towards where you want to go. You can't do this alone. You have to have support. If you've never given a workshop, look to someone like me or you who knows how to do it and have them show you how. So not being alone, being of like-minded people, and really good self-care. Honestly, I see so many coaches who still skip their journaling, skip their exercise. They have the donut when they know they should. It's not that you have to be perfect. I mean, I have a cookie. It's not like I'm gonna die, but no, I mean, my cookie's a little different nowadays. But self-care, self-care, and then Also, believing that you can, and
Yeah,
when I work with people, it's interesting how I often attract people who have a lot of stuff, a lot of fears and doubts, and you have to have someone help you work through that. You have to have your meditation practice or journaling, pick up a Louise Hay book, Dan Millman,
yeah,
someone that can help you rewrite your thoughts, Joe Dispenza. You have to work on that. And the coaches that I meet, even the ones with the biggest fears there, if they love what they do, they have the right support, they take care of themselves physically and spiritually. If they're open to getting out of their comfort zone, if
yeah.
they're open to looking at the fears, then they can accomplish anything. And listen, the first time I got on stage at IIN, do you know that I was so nauseous? I thought I was gonna like lose it backstage. I had like 4 cups of ginger tea just to like stop my shaking. Now I get on stage and I don't even think twice about it. So it's okay to have fears, but successful people take action in spite of their fear.
Yeah,
And they let the happiest people on earth are the ones who are doing work that contributes to the happiness of others. And when you can see that vision for your practice and your life and let that lovingly pull you towards that dream of making a difference in the world, that's what matters. So it's really all of those things. And you have to, along the way, be open to adapting and changing, because the person you are today is not who you'll be a year from now. And you have to be willing to trust the journey, but you must
yeah.
not do it alone. You can't.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think what's interesting about success is that it does require all of those different aspects. And I
Mhm.
think that when you're out of alignment in your own life, I always say my personal life,
Mhm.
look at my plate and you can see how I feel about myself. It's like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
seen in your life where maybe your relationship, it's like that wheel of life, the circle of life.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Exercise that a lot of us did if we went to IN. And then if we
Yeah.
didn't, we know that just from kind of therapy based and coaching based stuff. But it's like seeing where there's not alignment in your life, because that will definitely affect how you're
Yeah.
showing up in your business.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I find interesting enough, that people who work with me, I don't promise this in my marketing, but their relationships get better.
Mhm.
They lose the weight they wanted to take off. They're happier. They're sleeping better. And then they often also, if someone comes to work with me and like is going through a really bad divorce or in a really difficult dark time, I say, it might be that the next few months are for you to have some healing through a spiritual practitioner, because I don't know that you have the energy to put into a practice. Now, people have told me, Robert, I'm so grateful that you just didn't sign me up just to do it. That you were, and they'll come back months later. Oh, you were so right. I'm so happy and thank you, because I'm now ready to do what I need to do because I worked on myself a little bit first. You have integrity, and that's another thing is you and I share this, is authenticity and integrity. So
Yeah.
important to be in integrity.
And I mean, there are so many times that somebody will be looking for a program and I actually downsell them, even though it's the worst thing, but it's
Yeah.
like that program's right for them. And I believe in karma. And I also believe in that vibrational energy.
Mhm.
Like if
Yeah.
I'm operating in just that greedy money way, good things
Hmm.
are not going to happen in my life, which brings me to
Yeah.
my next question. With success comes money. What happens
Hmm.
if somebody has this old money mindset story that does not align with what they want to get in
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. Well, I call it the money thermostat, because you know how you have like a thermostat on your wall and it's set at like, 72 degrees.
Yeah.
So let's say 72 degrees is $72,000 and you want to make, 150. Well, if the person's set at 72 and they get 120, what happens is vibrationally their brain says, oh no, my set point's 72. So it goes right back down to it. You go down to 62, it goes, oh, I should be back at 72. So there's a money set point. So in order to change the money thing is, and I'm going to teach some of that in different courses, and I'm going to give all of your listeners that course as well. The money stuff is really about, you have to again first become aware of what you tell yourself about money and what you were taught about money. So you then see what's there, and then you go in and you start to rewrite those thoughts. Okay, what does it cost me to tell myself that
Right.
people can't afford this right now? And money is such that we could do a whole couple of podcasts just on
Yeah.
that. It's
Just
just,
on money.
yeah, and money is money. People will talk about sex before they'll talk about money at a dinner party. It's interesting because we're taught, people are taught to, and we live in a world too where we are gauged by how much we have. But what I can tell you though, what I tell my clients is it's not about the money you have; it's about how abundant you feel with what you do have in your finances. And income equals impact. So if you want to earn more money, what person has to first do is have a mentor to help them with that, or get a great book like Think and Grow Rich, or one of those books about that. But by the way, if your listeners, Think and Grow Rich, written back, almost 100 years ago, fantastic book by
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill. But you have to look at what you're telling yourself about money. You have to look at what you were taught about money. You have to look at the costs of those beliefs. And then, like I said earlier, rewrite them. Okay, so really can't charge that much for my coaching. What if I could? What would be the worst that could happen? You have to rewrite those beliefs, and then slowly but surely it goes up. But the real key to the money stuff is not just looking at the beliefs and rewriting them and looking at the costs of them. It's then again coming back to, okay, I want to get to, making this up, 100K in my wellness practice. Okay, well, how would I feel if I were there? What actions would I take as act, think, speak, and feel as if you're already at that place? Would I still be doing cut and paste by hand for my registrations, or would I pay the money for Constant Contact or MailChimp? Would I keep putting off hiring a business coach, or would I actually, invest in that person's group program? It's not the
Or in
full
that
price of the
virtual
private, but
assistant, all those different
exactly.
things that you are going to do once you have that money that you need.
It's interesting. The first time I hired a business coach, I was doing everything by hand. I was so tired. And she said, "Why haven't you gotten a virtual assistant?" I go, "Why? I just need to save the money." She got out her phone and said, "Okay, how many hours a week are you spending doing that?" Okay.
Yeah.
What if you hired someone for 5 hours of that? How much would that cost you? Okay. And in those 5 hours, how many new clients could you get? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, that's 10 times the price of your virtual assistant. And a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, wow. Because what I was taught was like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees. There's always something. My father was a child of depression. There's always something. If you don't have, you can't spend because you never know what's going to happen next. And I went, wow, very well meaning to keep me protected. But I realized, like, oh my gosh, that was not what I really needed to think. So you have to think about what's your return on your investment. And I can't tell you, like, the year that I hired a business coach, I spent a considerable sum of money. I tripled my income in 1 year.
Oh my God.
And I got to look at the stuff that, why was I playing small? Why was I cutting and pasting by hand? It's like, I think know a bit of my story. Like when I was a little boy, I was really smart with science and I loved cooking and animals. And that doesn't make you very popular in a very small conservative Midwestern town. So I got picked on a lot. I was bullied a lot. I didn't really have many friends. So for me to be a public speaker was like, oh, no, no, no. I can't
Yeah.
be seen, because seeing equals hurt. So I had to do a lot of work. But yeah, I will tell you though that the work that I've done around growing my business has enabled me to peel back these layers of fears and insecurity that were holding me back in every area of my life. So for all of you listening, I want you to know that, listen, I had no background in how to grow a business. I had horrible insecurities. I was picked on as a kid, didn't think I could do it, but I did, because I let my heart's passion pull me towards making a difference. And I realized that, what's the worst that could happen? I'll go back and get a job, which I would never ever do. But it's really the key. And the key that I didn't get taught in all those books all those years ago about, law of attraction, was vibration and feeling what you want and aligning with that 98.7 frequency, radio analogy again, is one of the best ways to quickly do that. And then those thoughts that are not aligned with that, how much you want to make, they don't have space to come into the vibration, because there's no room for them. There's nothing, they're not allowed, because they don't match up. Like attracts like. You can't, it's that they don't repel. So like attracts like, and what you focus on is what you create and what you attract.
I love that. I have to admit, I have to get better at my journaling practice because it's not
Mm,
something that I'm as good at or as great at, and to the point
yeah.
that I need to do it. And those practices that kind of rewire and reshape, because I know when you come to the table with a lot of stuff or a lot of
Mm,
trauma, self-esteem issues,
mm,
that those old thoughts can come pouring in.
yeah.
Would you say for that coach who is sitting there and they feel like they are vibrating at that level, but they're not making the money that they deserve? Do you think that's where the marketing comes in, where you actually need a plan?
Well, I think that if they're not getting the money they want, then part of them isn't actually fully vibrating with it, because if they wanted to, they would. But you also just can't sit at home imagining how great it's going to feel to earn your next however much money. You have to have a marketing plan to
Doing
get
that.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
I mean, there, and listen, things will just kind of line up. You'll just happen to get a call and someone want to work with you, but it's up to you to call back, and I think that people who are feeling that vibrational alignment, if they really were fully in it, they would be taking the action as well. So there's a little piece still, there's that 3% that's like, oh, I'm not quite ready. But it's just seeing it and taking it one step at a time. And also not overwhelming yourself. When someone tells me they're afraid of public speaking, I don't say go to, Lincoln Center and stand on stage in front of 1,000 people like I did. I was like, oh my God, what happened? I say, do 3 people first, and feel how great it's going to feel once you're there. And sometimes too, what I will say is when a negative experience happens to you, like you do a workshop and something goes wrong. I remember one year I had this event that I was doing in New York City, like 200 people almost, one of my biggest things I've ever done. I spent so much money getting the room together and a hurricane happened. I had to cancel
Oh
the whole
my
thing.
goodness.
But you know what? I was meditating a month before that, and I was sitting here, just kind of breathing, imagining the event going well. And a little voice popped in and said, "For the first time ever, live stream your event." And I didn't know why. I was like, "Oh no, I can't. It's too expensive. It's what happened." And lo and behold, we rescheduled the event for a month later. 95% people changed their airplane tickets because that's how much they believed in my work. And those who couldn't, it was live streamed all across the world. No one missed a single minute of it
Oh, wow.
because
Wow.
I listened to my instincts. And by the way, too, the universe is always giving us signs. And when you are aligned and you're taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and you're feeling good things, doing your self care, you won't miss that sign that comes up along the way. You won't miss like having to think about Rachel and then she messages me on Facebook. You'll see those signs, but you have to be looking. And sometimes they're very quiet. But
Yeah.
when you're quiet and you're present and you're not distracted by the energies of those around you, you will hear them and you will see them, and your intuition will guide you because your intuition is just the voice of the universe speaking through you, through your energy centers. And you have to sometimes quiet. You don't have to sit on a chair and be Buddha. I mean, you can just when you're exercising, like when I exercise, I often just kind of like, oh, I'm just like I say a positive word every step of the elliptical. That's meditation. You're present in the moment.
I love that because I think that you're sharing like what you actually do. And I know we have so many thoughts within our day and it's so easy to get stuck. Tell
Yeah.
me, what do you think are some of the non-negotiables for a coach these days to make it in the marketing sphere? Because it's changed a lot since
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
first started. I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, in terms of which aspect?
In terms of the aspect, we all say show up.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing this in parentheses
Mhm.
for anyone listening. We say show up, but in this world that has changed so significantly in the marketing aspect, what do you think are some of the ways to show up? And of course,
Yeah.
everyone's different. Some people
Yeah.
like to offline, but I think a lot of people are showing up online, even if they still want to do one-on-one. We all have to get clients some way.
Yeah.
What are the things that you're telling your clients that are a
Well,
must?
I think first of all, you have to really be consistent. A lot of coaches, they have an expensive hobby, they don't have a business. So if
Mhm.
you're getting around to it when it's convenient, you're never going to be successful. So you have to be consistently in action, even if your action is part-time, be consistently in action. And you have to have support. You have to be in a community of people with a coach, mentor, accountability buddy. You cannot do it alone. And I think really the key is list building. You need to have something that's unique to you and your niche that gives someone something for free that gets them into your world to then build trust with them. And I will say, like, you've heard me say this before, it's all about building your contact list, but doing it with people that you love to help and being consistent. I mean, I'm going to give all of your listeners a free gift from me. And obviously, I'm going to stay in touch with them, but I'm not going to be selling anything. It's just, hey, if you like it, and that's the other thing too. If you go to give without expecting something in return, like I'm not gonna blast these people, buy my product. I'm just gonna say, hey, here's some free stuff. I hope you enjoy. If they enjoy it, they're gonna be on my newsletter list. And when the time comes, they feel a connection to what I'm talking about. They'll say, hey, I think I want to call Robert now. It's about going to give without any expectation and being consistently in touch and having things to give away for free and connecting with other networks of people who already know your ideal client. Whether it's through writing engagement, a guest blogger, a guest speaker, a guest podcast, teaching a class, connecting, especially new coaches, understanding who are the key sort of decision makers for your niche that are doing things like who's your good friend who runs a yoga studio for busy women and
Um,
you're busy women. Get to know her better. It's about quality, not quantity. You don't need to spend $1 million on Facebook ads. Get to know those 2 yoga teachers and chiropractor who already have a full business, who just have been waiting for someone like you to come along and have the courage to say, you know what I have to offer is special because I have a gift to make the world a better place, and pick up the phone and say, what's the worst that could happen?
I
They
love
don't want
that
to.
you're mentioning these things because they're grassroots strategies that we learned and they still work. I
Yeah.
remember I made a list of people to contact, people who had gyms, chiropractors, yoga, acupuncturists, and said, I'm going to reach out to all these people, see if I can do a blog, see if I can do a
Mhm.
newsletter takeover,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
things that would allow me to put a free gift there so somebody could download that free gift, get on my
Yeah.
newsletter list, and then
Yeah.
consistently nurture them on my newsletter
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. And it's just about building trust. I mean, relationships are marketing's about relationships. It's about building relationships of trust over time. And if you get someone's business card at a networking event and you email them 3 months later, they're going to pick the coach who was in touch with
Yeah.
them, and it's not about blasting someone's email 10 times a day. But it's about and coaches will say, oh, I can't be pushy. Oh, so you send out a newsletter every 3 months. So that's called not proactive. So it's about being proactive and authentic, not pushy. But people are busy. They get a million emails and you have to be in their inbox. You just can't hope that they come around to look. They're not going to come back to your Facebook page to find out what you're up to. You got to be in touch, posting on your Facebook, making a story, sending out their e-zine consistently. You need to be visible. And that doesn't have to mean standing on stage in front of 1,000 people. It just means sharing from your heart something that you really enjoy in your newsletter, putting together a little reel that just shares like, hey, you know what? Here's why it's so wonderful to try this smoothie recipe when you're I'm making this up, having a bad day. Like but realize that there is no rejection. There's only selection. No one's looking to reject you. But if you have a pattern of, oh, people are only going to reject me, guess what? That's 94.2 frequency called rejection. So everyone who comes into your life, into your business will say, I can't afford it because you think that no one can afford it. So guess what? You're going to keep getting exactly what you believe.
Yeah. I love that you talked about the quantum energy because I think we hear a lot about affirmations. We hear a lot about manifesting, but I love how you shared like you actually have to speak to yourself in your future, speak to your future self. I know that
Yeah.
you have a line for it. See it, believe it. Wait, what was it?
You have to act, think, speak, and feel as if you're already where you want to be.
Yeah, I think that's so instrumental for coaches who are listening because I know that it's so easy to get caught in the fear. I got
Yeah.
caught in so much imposter syndrome, and it was a lot of self-worth work that I needed to do.
Hmm. Yeah.
Self-love, self-worth. And I still have some of that chatter, but it's not as loud as it used to be.
Yeah.
The thing is, despite that chatter, despite the fear, and I have a feeling you're the same way, is I still found a way to not make it an excuse.
Hmm.
And I think that's what you're talking about. Successful people don't live in their excuses.
And people, those of you listening, thinking, "Well, I can't do that." Like Robert or Rachel, they know more than I. But I just started out knowing nothing. I learned, and you have to ask yourself, what's it going to cost you to still be this time 6 months from now with no clients because you were afraid to push send on the newsletter? What's that going to cost you?
Yeah.
And what's it going to cost those clients who are desperately waiting to have your help? There are not enough health coaches to meet the demand that's there right now. It just isn't. There's never been a better time to be a coach, honestly, and
Oh,
that's
I
only
love
going to
that.
continue. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like that time of COVID was a really stressful time for everyone. Lots of different
Yeah.
changes. But I think what's come out of it is we have a deeper awareness of how our stress affects our bodies. And
Mhm.
our potential clients have a deeper awareness about um, how important health is.
Yeah. And when I started all those years ago, and you were at IN several years after me, it was more so people would come to you if there was like their doctor said they have to do this, so they're going to be sick. Now people are doing it before they need to because they don't want to get to that
Yeah.
place. And COVID, there's a gift in everything, and that was part of the gift from the pandemic is people realized that, wow, like I don't want to feel like this again, or there's stuff I wasn't looking at, and I want to stay healthy, so I don't X, Y, and Z, and that's why people want this. I mean, my clients have had their best months and years ever, honestly.
Isn't that interesting? I love, but you know
Yeah.
what? You're also teaching your clients to show up with that energetic flow. And
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of why your clients are successful. Can you tell everyone where to find you? Where can
Yeah.
they?
So my website is just robertnotter.com. And there's a free audio on the website where you can learn about how to get your next clients. But I did make something special and intentionally for this is that I created a whole class on these different processes in my neural alignment method to help you kind of realign your brain. And I think you'll love it. You can go to www.mymindsetupgrade.com and you'll get it. So it's a free class. It's a webinar. There's handouts. There's a workbook. It's
Oh, wow.
all about how to go in and reprogram your mind. And I'm actually going to redo it by the time this is aired with your audience to add in new pieces of neuroplasticity just for this event. So yeah, just go to my, all one word, my, and then the word mindset, M-Y, mindset, M-I-N-D-S-E-T, upgrade, UPGRADE.com.
And you get the song and dance with it as well.
And if anyone wants to contact me to say hi, what you enjoyed, it's just simply robert@robertnotter.com. My last name is Notter. Robert@robertnotter.com.
Awesome. Do you think that we missed anything in this episode that you feel called to share?
Life is full of infinite possibilities, and anything that you want to manifest is possible for you, but it will not happen if you don't believe it's possible. That's what I'd like to close with.
Oh, I love
Simply
that.
how the world works.
I love that. Guys, you know exactly what to do. Follow this amazing man. He will inspire you. He will encourage you to keep showing up in the way that you need to be showing up in this world to attract your ideal client. And that's how your income is going to increase. And it's how you're going to be able to show up and be of service. And when you show up and be of service, you will be able to put those fears to bed. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Robert. All right, guys, stay tuned for the next episode and make sure that you follow Robert and listen to his masterclass because I'm sure it's going to be filled with gems. All right, bye, guys.